Today. Hello, everybody. I am here on my own today. As some of you know, Steven trains me Monday through Friday, so Saturday is my day off, as well as Sunday, and I live for these days. But today we uploaded the second episode of Origin Story, and oh boy, I have no idea where this is coming from, but we have like 1,600 views on that video right now, and that is extraordinary. So, Steven texted me in the middle of lunch today and was like, "Dude, have you seen these numbers?" And I said, "No." And I looked it up and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, it's like 100." And then I got home 2 hours later and it was like 10 times that amount. So, not sure where this is coming from. I have no idea. I don't know. How does the trending tab work? Is there a chance we're going to wind up in the trending tab? I mean, that would be incredible. But anyway, Steven told me when I got back, he said, "Look at these numbers. Dude, you got to do a live stream. Just talk to them and hang out with them." So that's what I'm doing. Part of the plan for Origin Story was always for me to be doing daily vlogs to come out Monday through Friday, so you'd be able to see, on any specific day how I was feeling after that workout and what I was going through that day. And I think we're going to do that today because I haven't been doing that. So we're going to do that live today, where I'll talk about the last week and a half of training. And I'm going to try and get those up daily, Monday through Friday, as those days come to me. But that said, I'd also like to hang out with you guys and talk. So if you have any questions, they'll pop up here on my screen, and I'll be able to talk to you. So while I wait for comments, which anyone who saw the last live stream that Steve and I did together, you know that I live for those. So, while I wait for those, I guess I'll just tell you about the last week and a half. Wednesday was hard. The first day, which was Wednesday of last week, was very difficult. And, Ross was putting me through the ringer, really. It was way more than I felt capable of handling. But we got through it, and it took me a while for my legs to heal up, as I talk about in the most recent video. And yeah, it was hard, and it's been the hardest thing I've done thus far. Thursday of the first week, we did a little boxing, some jab. He taught me how to jab, and then Friday was just a little light workout on my total gym. What you don't know about that first week is that as soon as we got done on Friday of that first week, I smiled at Steven as he walked out the door, gave him a high five, and he left. I turned around, I looked at my wife, and I broke down in tears. My body was in so much pain. So much pain. I told her I didn't want to do this anymore. I told her I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this. This is too much pain for me right now. I just can't do it. And I don't know why YouTube thinks that it should be giving me notifications about other people's live streams while I'm live streaming and making my phone make noise. Thank you very much, YouTube. I thought you'd be smarter than that. Anyway, no, that was a very emotional moment for me. And Steven said, "Be honest about it. Tell everyone about it." Oh my gosh! Really? Okay, hang on. I'm gonna turn off my my notifications. Hello, Silver Gamer. How you doing? Life treating you well? So, yeah, like I said earlier, I will respond to any comments. If you have any questions about Origin Story, about reading a lot of my training, about the channel, and what the direction we're taking it in, feel free to ask me. I'm the producer now. I edit all the videos. Steven and I make all the plans together for the channel and whatnot. So if you have any questions, this is your time to ask them, and I will answer them. All right? No questions are off limits. Ask me anything. AMA. Anyway, back to the crying. I cried like a little girl that day. Lindsay told me, my wife Lindsay, she told me, don't get too discouraged here. Don't freak out. All right, you're gonna be fine. Go take a rest, take a nap, and I did. And Saturday came, and my legs still hurt. Sunday came, my legs were doing somewhat better. By the time Monday came around, it was the next day to work out. I was still nervous, but I felt more ready for it. A lot more ready for it. Silver Gamer asks, what will the upload schedule be? The plan right now is from here on out to upload one episode of Origin Story every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, that is. And if I can get my act together, we're also going to have probably a 2 to 3 minute episode of me talking about, my feelings about that day of training. That's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So you'll get little updates about what the training is like. Part of the reason we're doing the show like this, Origin Story, is just because, well, for Ross, for Steven, it's a big deal for him because he is taking on a huge challenge here, trying to get someone as out of shape as I am into shape. For those of you who don't remember or didn't see that first episode, I'm 420 pounds. Well, actually, I was 420 pounds when we began this journey. I've lost some water weight, and I've lost a good bit of actual fat weight, too, already. In fact, I'll let you guys know this. I weighed myself this morning before I ate, and I've gone from 420 pounds to 409.8 pounds. So, huge deal for me. I am seriously stunned at the results, and I can't wait to see how well this goes on and how consistent I can be. Thanks, Blaine, for the congratulations. Thanks, Silver Gamer, for that. I'm excited about it. Definitely congratulate Steven, because he's putting in just about as much work as I am. I'm going through the physical pain, and it's a lot of mental training to make sure I don't screw things up by eating the wrong things. But it's all thanks to Steven's instruction and his technique in training me. It's very helpful, and I owe him a huge thanks for this. So give him your congratulations too. All right. Back to the upload schedule. So Origin Story episodes should go up every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, hopefully around 7 or 8 p.m. if I can do it right. I'd like to have a 2 to 3 minute vlog of me explaining what I went through that day of training and what Ross put me through, how my body's feeling after it, how mentally I'm feeling about it all. So like I was saying, the reason we're doing Origin Story this way is to show how much of a challenge it is for Ross to train me like this, but also to show how a novice like myself, who's so far out of shape, can actually go through this and what it would be like, what kind of toll it's going to take on their body. So absolute honesty is my goal when it comes to doing the vlogs that I'm going to start doing next week, as well as what I'm talking about today. That way anyone who is in my shoes will be able to say, well, if this guy can do it, and I know what he went through, then maybe I can do it. We want to inspire people to be able to do that, and we're hoping to get me down to my goal weight, my goal body type and everything after maybe 2 seasons of this. That would be about 1 year long, because we're talking one season would be about 6 months, and we want to see like a full-blown transformation from me now to me, a year from now. Silver Gamer asked how this whole thing started. So that's a good question. Steven and I met at church a few years back. My wife and I moved to the area, and we visited church, and that's where we met Steven and his wife, and we became friends with them. I went to Bible study with Steven for a while. He and I got to know each other better, found out that we shared a lot of the same interests. He's a big nerd. I'm a big nerd. So that kind of stuff stuck. And he and I were hanging out one day, and I said, look, I've looked at your real anime training videos, and you gotta admit that they're not very good looking. And he said, yeah, I know. He explained that he was using, he didn't exactly have a dedicated camera. I think it was just a cell phone, and it was an old cell phone at that. Plus, the only video editing software he had was Windows Movie Maker, which, isn't really that great. Now, I've got a lot more experience, and I have the equipment, and I said, hey, if you train me once a week, how about I do a video once a week for your channel, and that way your content will look better. And so if you look at those 3 videos that we did together, the Super Saiyan training videos, there's 3 of them that were done right in a row. And those were the ones that I did for him, and he really liked those. But because of his schedule, and he had to start a 3rd shift job over at a plant somewhere, it just became hard for us to keep that up, and we kind of stopped doing it for a while. Then recently, I don't exactly remember what it was. I told him, I knew he really loved the training stuff, and he wanted real anime training to take off into something much bigger. But he had been working at this for 10 years, and he even recently told me that he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to do anything more with it because, there wasn't much going on, and he didn't have the time to keep making content. And I told him, what if you and I go into business together, and we turn real anime training into something huge, something that will be able to help lots of people and turn it into an actual business for you. And, we'll work on it together. And he said, if we can do that, that'd be great. And we met several times, every time that he had a moment, because he was really busy with work. And he said, look, we can do this, but the thing is, he would need to have to quit his job because there wouldn't be enough time to do this. And we talked about doing an origin story to get me into shape, and he came up with an idea, and he said, Duffy, I don't know what you're going to think about this. And I said, shoot, what's up? He said, if we really believe in this idea, if we really believe in it, then he said, Duffy, I could train you for an hour every day between Monday through Friday, but you'd have to pay for the training. If you did that, I could quit my job. I asked him for the logistics about it, and essentially, it wouldn't be making as much money as he made working full-time third shift at the other job he had, but it would give him and his family enough money, just enough money, and he'd be able to quit his job, and he'd be able to do what he loved, and we'd be able to work more at it. And of course, if he could get more personal training clients, it would take even more of the burden off of me. I told him I'd have to think about it because that was a huge commitment. It was an awful lot of money to put up into something that we didn't have any guarantee would work. But I thought about it for a couple of weeks, talked to my wife about it, and I said, you know what? Even if the business doesn't work, if you can make me lose 3 pounds a week like you're claiming, then it would be well worth the money. So yeah, I'm in. So we gave, his family went ahead and made sure they got all the doctor visits in, and then he quit his job, and then, Wednesday, 1.5 weeks ago now, he and I met for the first time to discuss to start training. And I filmed it, I edited it, and that's how this whole origin story thing started. A completely unpronounceable name that starts with the letter M asks, which fictional characters would you say are your biggest inspirations? And the Silver Gamer asks, do you like anime? If yes, then what's your favorite anime? I'll start with the first question. Fictional characters that are my biggest inspiration. That's interesting because I'll tell you, I started off with comic books. My dad saved a lot of his comic books from his childhood, so we're talking DC and Marvel comics from like the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. Obviously, I wasn't allowed to read the 80s one until I was older because, Frank Miller, very dark time for comics. Things are getting a lot grittier, and you don't want to introduce, a 6-year-old to that kind of stuff. So my influence when it came to nerdy stuff, to superheroes and fictional characters, was mainly from comic books. And then, when the 21st century came around, I started getting to watch superhero movies. That, to be fair, though, I did get to see Superman 1 and 2 with Christopher Reeve back when I was a kid. And then, before like Marvel started making movies, before X-Men and Spider-Man came out and stuff. Before that, the only movies worth watching really were Superman 1 and 2 and Batman 89. Fictional characters, which ones are my biggest inspirations? That's not a question I've ever really thought about. There's any number of ways. Like, inspired me for what? Like, the idea of Peter Parker being a superhero with everything going on. I think, honestly, I would say right now, even though I'm not the biggest Spider-Man fan, just the concept of the superhero Spider-Man, the superhero who has a wife to take care of and family to take care of and all these responsibilities, and it feels like nothing's ever going right for him. That kind of feels like me, but the idea of being able to go through that and not losing hope, that's inspirational. That said, Spider-Man's not exactly my favorite character when it comes to that kind of stuff, but for inspiration's sake, I guess I can go with that. I love my video games, though, so just about anything Nintendo related, big Zelda fan, stuff like that. And I say that, I'm not really going to talk too much about it because I'm going to segue into anime. So I never really watched anime when I was younger, and I got married, and my wife was like talking about anime. She loved anime, and I watched with her My Neighbor Totoro, Laputa, Castle in the Sky, Howl's Moving Castle. There was a bunch of different animes from Studio Ghibli that she wanted me to watch, and I thought they were good. They were cute. They were good for kids. They weren't something that I would be like, oh, I want to watch that immediately again. But that was about the extent of it for me for a while. But then, I think by our third year together, possibly. She was talking to me about this old anime she watched when she was younger, back after, in around 2004. And it was Full Metal Alchemist, the 2003 series. And I was listening to it, and I'm like, what? Sounds like they're talking about, using pentagrams and stuff. That sounds pretty demonic and stuff. That's on, I don't know. Why are you interested in that kind of stuff? She's like, no, it wasn't like that. And she's talking about, the alchemist circles and stuff. And she was talking about how much she loved that anime. And I was just like, look, I don't care. I don't want to listen to this anymore. Would you knock it off? She was telling me about that, I think, during our first or second year of marriage. Eventually, though, I was like, you know what? I want to know what this is all about. I want to know what you enjoy so that maybe I'll enjoy it too. Sat down and watched Full Metal Alchemist, the 2003 series. I enjoyed the first half. The second half, I got confused. I got lost. And by the end of it all, I was like, huh? I said, well, that was good. It had a really weak ending, in my opinion, but the premise was nice in the beginning. Then we went ahead and I was like, hey, I found out there's another series called Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and she said, oh yeah, I heard that one is just a retelling of the story we already saw. I'm like, no, what I'm reading here is it's actually a lot better, because it follows the manga more, and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, we wound up watching the entire thing much faster than the first series, and I loved it. And ever since then, I've watched, I would say Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood remains my favorite anime, but I have also watched Trinity Blood, which was pretty good, and I've watched part of Code Geass. We need to get the next set in the DVD set before we can finish that. I have enjoyed... I always wind up forgetting which ones I've watched. Okay, listen, I watched... I've watched Sword Art Online. I liked Sword Art Online, so I know that the fan base can be kind of, I don't know, immature, I guess, sometimes, but I like it, and so does Steven, so I know that not all the fans are, awful people. So if you like Sword Art Online, and you are not an awful person, then I like you, alright? Silver Gamer says, not to be rude, but the reason you're doing this fitness channel is because you're kind of big. So if you had a chance to tell your younger self to do something, what would it be? Excellent question. As long as you're not trying to be rude, I don't think you have to say not to be rude. Ross has told me, has said before to me, Dovey, I don't want to seem, insensitive, but let me tell you this. I'm like, Steven, I'm a 420-pound, not anymore, 400-plus-pound man, all right? And I'm doing this because I know I'm that heavy. So it's not like I'm offended or anything. If I could tell my younger self one thing, I actually know exactly what it would be. So, you see, when I was a kid, I actually lost my parents and my little sister. And I was put in the care of one household from some of my family's people that I hadn't seen in a while. One of the people there was my uncle. And I was kind of big at the time. I don't know what it was that caused this, though, but over the course of 1 year, I got extremely emaciated. The problem is, and I'm going to be completely honest with this because, that's what this whole program is about, me being honest and open about everything. You probably can see this in some clips from Origin Story itself, but I've got breasts, all right? And it's just from an estrogen imbalance. They're pretty big right now because I'm really fat, but even when I was emaciated, I still had breasts. They were small, but I had them. And my uncle, I don't know what it was, but the man was not very good was not very good guy when it came to emotional stuff and, being sympathetic and understanding. He saw the breast, and despite the fact that I was pretty much skin and bones everywhere else, kept telling me over and over and over again how fat I was, kept shrinking the portions I was allowed to eat, and kept telling me to work out. The fact was, there was no weight for me to lose at this point. So when I stepped on the scale as a 6-foot tall teenager, and I was like 165 pounds, could not lose weight. I gave up on losing weight. Because I gave up on losing weight, I quickly got to 200 pounds, and I kept growing, and it wasn't really until my senior year in high school, where I got into about 260, 270 pounds, that someone was looking at old pictures of me and was like, Duffy, how are you this skinny? And I told him, what are you talking about? I was never skinny. And I looked at the pictures, and they're like, Duffy, look, you can see your cheekbones. You can see how small your face is. And I asked my family who had found me and got me out of that first house that I stayed with, and they said, yeah, when we tracked you down and we got custody of you, you were pretty much emaciated. And that was surprising. So, if I could tell my younger self anything, I'd go back to the end of that first year with my uncle, and I would say, John, you're not fat. You're not even overweight. You're skinny. Okay? If you work on building muscle and start eating a little extra, you not only will you not gain weight to be as big as I am right now, but you will not. You'll be so much stronger, so much better off, so much healthier. Body image is a big deal, all right? Body image can really ruin someone's life. And a lot of people assume the whole body image being a problem thing is just for women. That's not the case, all right? Anorexia and bulimia, those things are awful things. But when you are a 13 to 14-year-old kid who just lost his family to a tragic accident, and someone tells you you're emaciated, and someone tells you over and over and over again for a year how fat you are, you can bet you're going to most likely eventually just give up on it when you don't see any change. So yeah, I would tell myself, don't listen to him. You're skinny. You're too skinny. You got to put on some weight, all right? Aim for this goal here, and do strength training. You'll be better for it. And that's what I would say if I could. But unfortunately, we do not have a time machine. No TARDIS or DeLorean here yet. I keep checking the rental car pages, and I don't see them here. So we're doing this the long way, and it's gonna be worth it. Honestly, I want to. If it wasn't for the fact that we're putting this on YouTube, I would not post any pictures of myself for the next year on Facebook, and then go visit my family, because I live in a different state now, and then go visit my family from back there and surprise them with, "Ah, Dada, I look completely different. Bet you didn't think you'd see this size Duffy ever again." But who knows? Maybe I'll be able to surprise some people, because not everyone's going to be watching this show, obviously. So, since there's no questions at this point, you can keep asking questions if you want. Go back to how the second week felt. So much better than the first week. I don't feel anywhere near as bad off. I've been having a little bit of a headache, but that's probably because I've been sleeping less, eating less, and my body is going through some pretty big changes right now. And my body's kind of like, what's going on? I want more sleep. During this week, Steven actually introduced me to an energy drink. I've never drank an energy drink before. Never, ever, ever. But he introduced me to one that has no sugars, no calories. It tastes really good, and it has been helping me get through my days a little bit easier. But I'm still drinking plenty of water, so much water, because I do not want to become addicted to any energy drinks. I want water to be my main drink every single day. But yeah, there's not much else to tell right now. I feel pretty good. I feel amazing that I went down like 10 pounds in a week and a half, basically. I feel amazing about that, and I can't wait to see how this continues. So, before I get ready to sign off, does anyone else have any questions? Anything you want to say before we get going here? Would you like to see more of this? More live streaming with me just talking to you and hanging out with you? If you haven't already checked out our Patreon account, we have some rewards. We've got live stream rewards where you'll be able to join us both for a live stream once a month, hang out with us, maybe even show up on the live stream and talk to us, stuff like that. Steven is offering, of course, for the highest level patrons, if anyone dares go for that one, personal one-on-one training sessions once a month, kind of give you an idea of what kind of things you'd be doing to help yourself personally. Have I ever heard of Jack's Blade? I have heard of Jack's Blade because of Steven. He told me all about Jack's Blade, how Jack's Blade is his, and I quote, greatest disciple, as Steven likes to say. And we're hoping to actually, maybe this year, maybe next year, go up to visit Jack's Blade and maybe do a collab with him. In fact, speaking of collabs, there's going to be at least one, we're going to have one collab coming up this next month with a YouTuber that I'm a big fan of. Blaine, I know you know this guy. And We're sponsoring another YouTuber this next month, so I look forward to seeing what kind of reaction we get from all this. But that's just about it. Wayne, I did see your comment there about King's Avatar. I think I will check it out based off your recommendation. Thank you for that. We have a lot of plans. Next year, in fact, I think I'm gonna fill you in on some of these plans. Next year, Steven and I are gonna be going to a few cons. We live in South Carolina, so we're going to go to South Carolina Comic Con. If we can get merchandise like T-shirts and stuff, we definitely would like to go ahead and have a table maybe over at these cons, so like South Carolina Comic Con, Dragon Con, MomoCon, stuff like that. We really want to do so we can meet people and share the word about our channel and our shows. So we got a lot of plans for next year. But first, we got a couple collabs to film this in the upcoming weeks here. That same guy with the unpronounceable name, sorry, Mr. M. I'm just going to call you Mr. M. Is that all right? Is that all right? Steven taught you some basic boxing moves. Do you think you'll pick up boxing or another martial art in the future? After we get to a point where my body is more capable of moving easier, I think it's going to require a lot of strength building first, as well as, losing more of this fat, because the fat really makes it hard to move around easily. But yeah, I would love to pick up boxing or another martial art. Self-defense is incredibly important, no matter where you live or what time period you're living in. I believe in the fundamental human right of self-preservation. So, boxing, kickboxing, something like that, I'd love to get into. Whatever you can do to protect yourself and your family, I think is extremely important. And learning that kind of stuff as I go along is going to be really important. I'm glad Steven is introducing me to all that stuff now so I can get the basics down. I assume that he doesn't think I'm going to become an expert while I'm still this heavy, though. So, presumably, I think Steven's going to just leave it at basics for now until I lose some more of this fat and I'm able to move with a little bit more ease. But doing the basics now is probably a good idea, just so I get that all cemented into my head. Well, guys, we've been doing this for almost 30 minutes, and I have a fall party to get to. I'm not sure what costume I'm going to wear, though. Am I going to wear my Riddler outfit or my steampunk outfit? My little daughter, who's like 16 months old, we bought her an Anna dress from Frozen. So she has no idea what that is. But when we put it on her, she thought she looked beautiful in it and was running around the house going, whee! Oh, she's adorable. And I'll probably have footage of her at some point for you guys to check out and squee over. That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. We had several people come and talk, and maybe we'll do this again sometime. Anyway, this is John Duffy from Next Level Stuff, from Origin Story, producer of all this fun stuff. Signing off. It's been a blast. Bye-bye.